The Monday Morning Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Esther of IKEA Group, bringing premier online promotion to your business.
And Melanie of Stomp Social Media Training, who empowers business owners to manage social media and marketing for themselves.
And we're back with another episode. And today we're talking about how you can be as good as IKEA marketing with Finola Howard, intuitive marketing strategist of How Great Marketing Works. Welcome, Finola.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so delighted to be here.
We are so delighted to have you because, as the title of your company says, you know all about how great marketing works. So we're talking first about IKEA. What does IKEA do well that makes us all want to market like them?
Well, I start with this idea that I make the assumption that every business can market as well as IKEA. But every business has to know that that's possible first. And also they have to go deep enough into their business to take those leaps forward that actually connect all the dots in their marketing. Marketing fails when it's fragmented, and it sings when it's connected. When it starts from a very simple basis of and I always do this, we start with values. What is your business about? Who are you trying to help? How are you doing business? And then everything else you do has to fit that. But most people, and this is where the opportunity is for small business or any business, is most people forget to look for the gaps in that alignment. And what you can do is you can take it one piece at a time and actually plug the gaps. You don't have to do it all in one go. You don't have to have this huge international team to help you, although it really helps. That's how it works for IKEA. But you continually stay close to your customer, stay close to your purpose, stay close to your values, and make sure nothing jars with that. That's why you get these terms like, was somebody off brand? Because something didn't fit. And when something doesn't fit, it loses traction.
Mm-hmm.
So just so that other people know, I am actually here. And as usual, Esther has run away with my chosen candidate for today.
She likes me more than she likes you. I mean, that's how it works with every guest.
Love it.
Enough.
Not getting involved.
Okay, just enough. Now, quite seriously, it's very ambitious, isn't it, to say how you can be like IKEA? Is it a mindset thing as much as anything else, Finola?
I think it's mindset. I think the biggest battle for marketing for small business is mindset anyway, is can I, should I, how do I? But I think actually if you center yourself into, and this is why, this is something I say all the time, marketing is your truth told and great marketing is your truth shared. And I have been saying it for years, and I'm probably boring everybody by saying it. But when you say marketing is your truth told, you first have to have the mindset to believe, to share your own truth, to tell your own truth first. And when you tell it cohesively, consistently, and connect all the dots, then the market says, oh, that's very interesting. And oh yeah, the obvious one of, that's very authentic because it all seems to click and there's no dissonance here. So therefore, I will share that truth because I believe them. And that is great marketing, is your truth shared. But you first have to start by being brave enough to share it and to tell it. And most of us avoid it because you have to dig deep.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure too, though, that the authentic part and the keeping on brand is easier for small to medium-sized businesses than it would be for giants like IKEA, Tesco, etc.
No, not in my experience, because they have a team to watch for it. If you are a one-man show, one-woman show, small business, you have 5 to 10 employees or whatever else it is, it's the starting with the belief that somebody wants to hear it. And it's actually very closely aligned with positioning, USP, unique selling point. Your unique selling point is always the way you do it. And because often I would come across people saying, but I'm just another insert name company,
Mhm.
just another web design company. I'm just another healing company. I'm just another wellness company. I'm just another, and you're not.
Mm.
So if you
I'm just
start,
another social media company or a marketing company. I mean, there's
yeah,
three of us here.
yeah,
Yeah.
but nobody, and also this is not new information. Nobody does it like you, but you have to start to believe that, and then go, okay, but how do I do it? And what do I believe? And what am I passionate about? And who do I help best? And this idea of, and I always talk about, you choose your customers. There's this thing of waiting for a customer to find you. And it's not, it's you get to choose. And this is what levers you into the next stage of your business, is making the active choice of a people that you want to work with, that you love to work with. Because if you can't fall in love with your customers, then you cannot do great work with them.
Okay, so we've shifted our mindset, and I know everybody can't see us because we're all nodding furiously here at everything she's saying, but when it comes down to the practicalities, there's
Mm.
also limitations, and not just in the lack of self-belief and self-esteem, but also monetary um, and time. So how can you help somebody, as how great marketing works, pull that sort of time management and that resource management out of the customer that you're dealing with?
So say you've done all this work and you've found your ideal customer, you've done your ideal customer profile and all that good stuff you guys have been talking about. And you've found this wonderful one-liner that totally resonates with your ideal customer. When they come to the landing page of your site, they know what transformation is going to look like. You've got the messaging down. When you've got that place where you sit into this identity that you've truly embodied for yourself and for your business, and that's really the hardest piece. And in my experience, you can find companies who can't crack this and will stay stuck in the growth of their business. I've seen it for 10 to 15 years. I've seen people stuck until they own who they are. When they own, and this is the first really big milestone that a company, small or large, faces, is owning their own identity. When you own it, you move straight into process. And process is what saves you time. And you guys know this. You do things like figure out, what do I want? You've already figured out, what do I want to become known for? What are my 4 key things that when someone thinks of me, these are my 4 kind of areas I'll blog about, I'll do video about, I'll do all of these. So you narrow it down to 4, 2, or even the one great thing that you want to become known for. And then everything has to feed to that. And then you batch. You batch your social media, you batch whatever you can, you put processes in to save you time.
I was just shaking my head there at the videos. You do videos. I don't do videos ever. But the rest of it, yes, the rest of it all makes sense. Now, you were saying, and we had a guest on a couple of weeks ago with talking about social media policies in the workplace, and how larger teams like IKEA would have people monitoring, what's going on, what's being said, what's going out. I remember a few years ago, like I said, we said before we started recording, the concept of time has changed. We've lost a couple of years in the middle there. But there was a tweet from Tesco. Some guy had, Tesco's in UK, some guy had complained that there was a worm stuck to his cucumber and it had been killed in the wrapping of the cucumber, the way the plastic wrap it. And yeah, well, it was, I mean, cucumbers come from the ground, worms are in the ground. I mean,
suppose.
right? So there was this wonderful back and forward, and the guy from Tesco's even wrote a eulogy and a poem for the worm. They named the worm and they wrote it, obviously they gave him a refund and, all this other stuff. But it was wonderful. And I'm sort of going, would there have been somebody standing over that person going, yeah, that's allowed, you're allowed to send that? Because Twitter is really fast. And you're thinking of, political candidates and stuff that are just constantly tweeting. Does anybody, is there time to monitor everything that's going out, or do they literally have guidelines to go, yeah, we're allowed to be funny, we're allowed to be, straight to the point, we're allowed to all of these things?
I just want to quickly interject here, because that sort of thing would be on Zendesk, wouldn't it? And that's like a customer service tool that larger agencies would use. I mean, am I talking? Have
Oh yeah,
either of you
yeah.
seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're just being polite, smiling at me, or just going,
No,
"What the
we
hell
were
are you talking
listening.
about?" And so I've actually seen that in action once with one of my clients. I've been there watching them use Zendesk or things like it, and there is somebody normally who's on. Well, certainly at this place, there's not just the team leader and the person coordinating the staff, but there's a brand ambassador that's floating around, making sure that what's out there is correct. And it was the first time I come across this when I was actually with this client. So you've been working for much larger companies than myself, Finola. So is this something that's typical? Does this
So,
typify what teams do?
well, my experience is, and this is why I said at the start that we start with values and
Yeah.
we look at culture. I mean, a lot of my work of more recent times has been working with HR managers from a culture perspective because it's internal marketing. But this is about
Right.
trust. You cannot, well, this is my view, trust your people, give them freedom to actually enrich your brand, enrich the experience of what your brand, your company means. Because when you do that, things happen that you never believed could happen. And instead of you having this one dimensional, flat, dehumanized identity, you actually have this rich tapestry of different. So, one of the things that I would have done with one client, a tech company, and they grew much faster as a result of this, is we started to be at the start, the only person who really had the big hitter blogs was the CEO. And what we did is I was involved in a process where we trained everybody to write. And
All
we had a
right.
process where we used Slack and stuff like that so that it was peer review instead of having someone look over your shoulder. So we had
Mhm.
the financial person blog about stuff from a financial perspective. We had the interns blog about what it was like to work there. We had everyone blog, and it meant that you had this kind of 360 perspective of every single aspect of that company. The direct impact of that was they stopped hiring recruitment agencies because people wanted to work there because they felt
Mm.
part of this whole entity that was making a difference in the world, and that their voices were heard in the company, not that the company put the voices on them. They had the
Mhm.
freedom to add their depth and their unique voice to the mix. It was powerful.
No,
Yeah.
it sounds amazing, and the fact that you can also build up authority as well
Mm,
as part of that brand,
mm,
and be recognized for what you're capable of as
mm,
an individual rather than just as the brand. What a spectacular
mm,
tactic.
And they grew exponentially and became the world's largest node consulting company in the world.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, we talked about, like, at the start, how you can be as good at marketing as IKEA. Do we need to have the budget like IKEA does to be able to fulfill
Please say no.
that?
Well, what smaller businesses have, and this has really come about as well in COVID, is this ability to move faster and to able to hear more closely what the voices of their customers. And it means that
So the
so
more
I
agile.
much more agile. And
Yeah.
larger organizations are craving agility because things move so fast. So
Mhm.
being small is powerful. And to embrace that and not see it as a block, but see it as this is my superpower. I get to be agile and move based on what I see. And the only thing that I have to do is figure out what I'm wanting to achieve and make sure I'm correct. I'm always in step with my customer, my chosen customer, not my passively received customer, my chosen customer.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well, because a lot of small businesses feel obliged financially to
Mm.
take on anybody and everybody that comes to them. I mean, especially like when we started out, Melanie and I have already discussed this previously. Like, we just said, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I can do that. Even if it's something that we didn't know how to do or didn't want to do or didn't like
Mm.
doing, just because you felt you needed to grab the customers. But all of that, like we were saying, is mindset. It's digging down deep into your values, into your USP, and into the culture and the brand that you want to portray and that you have, because there's no point in being one person online and a totally different person offline.
I just wanted to ask, as wonderful a tactic as that was to make the people of the brand feel fairly represented, and obviously to represent their knowledge, when it comes to brand personas, because you've talked about customer personas and having and finding and working with the perfect customer, but surely there might be some sort of confusion if there's numerous people hopping onto social platforms. I know they have to adhere to a brand persona, but it's very difficult when you've got multiple people doing that. How do you offset this issue?
So it's not about adhering to a customer persona. It's about adhering to the mission of the company. What are you here to do? What are
Hmm.
you for? This is the question I asked. What are you for? And my example always is because when I remember, you might have heard me tell this story before, that I was driving in the car one day and my son, aged 3 at the time, oh my God, this is an old story. Anyway.
We not ask how old he is now.
And he said to me, "Mommy, what are you for?" And I went, "Oh my God, what question?" And I said to him, "Well, I'm here to love you, real pap answer." And then I wanted to get my own back. So I said, "So what are you for?" Because I'm so involved. So, and he said, "I'm for digging." Because he was,
Oh,
but what I love, and I always give this example, is he did not hesitate. He knew what he was here to do. He loved
Mhm,
tractors and diggers and all that at the time, and he was for digging. So it's, what are you for?
mhm.
so what's he
Yeah.
for now? Out of interest,
Rocket science.
it's quite a difference, isn't it?
One goes down, the other one goes up. But at least he knew from the start what he wanted, and he, like you said, no hesitation.
Mm.
It's like
And
those mind association games, isn't it? It's like, say what you see, say what you think, and then they ask you a question and you have to sort of straight out, don't think about it.
so the
I
first
don't.
question then for a small business is, what are you for? And your great marketing comes from bringing everything into alignment with that. That's it. And that isn't rocket science.
I wish it felt that simple when you were doing it.
Well, she just said it's not rocket science.
But I also, another story, I also remember saying that to a group I was working with, and someone put up their hand and said, "But our business is actually about teaching everybody how rocket science is so easy."
Says you, it's even easier to market it.
And
Oh.
the trick is to, yes, it's difficult, but it's about going deeper. That's what it's it. That's where mindset comes in. It's about being brave enough to look deep enough to say, okay, I'm here to accomplish this. This is my space. This is the space I can own, and I'm really passionate about doing that.
Brilliant. I mean, we could talk forever, and we sort of started before recording talking about giving examples of some um, great marketing in smaller businesses, but we're running out of time. So we'll save that one for another time, and we'll have you back to talk about examples of great marketing and how they
I'd love-
work. Um, do you have any courses? How can people get in touch with you? What's your website? Give us some of your socials so that people can go and find you, learn more from you, and hire you.
Mm.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So you can go to howgreatmarketingworks.com. And at the end of every quarter, I do a free quarterly planning program that helps set you up for the next 90 days. And it helps you think about your business in terms of making leaps every 90 days. So go to How Great Marketing Works, or click on my, links that you'll see on Instagram and stuff. And join me there.
Brilliant. You can find Finola's information at the bottom of the show notes as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Finola. You've been somebody who I've respected and followed for quite some time, and I feel a little humbled to have you on the podcast. So, genuinely very happy to have you here, and I do hope it won't be another flipping 3 or 4 years before we actually see you.
Thank you so much, and I feel the same way about you two guys. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us today, guys. We're back next week with more Monday Morning Marketing. Until then, bye-bye.
You know, when they say never meet your heroes,
But we've met her in real life.
and honestly,
She's more of a legend in real life, I have
when
to say.
you meet her in real life and then you get her on your podcast and you're like, oh my God, I'm blown away. I couldn't write fast enough. It was being too noisy. So
It's okay. The show notes. Go for the show notes.
oh, well, that's very clever, isn't it?
Isn't it? You don't have to take notes of the show notes. It's already there for you.
Just